In the shadowy corners of Victorian England, a peculiar phenomenon emerged that blended superstition, fear, and misguided science. The era of the vampire hunter, a time when the lines between folklore and reality blurred, captivated the public imagination and led to some truly disturbing practices. The roots of this macabre occupation can be traced back to the widespread cholera epidemics that ravaged Europe in the 19th century. As death tolls mounted and medical knowledge struggled to keep pace, people sought explanations for the unexplainable. Enter the vampire myth, a convenient scapegoat for the ravages of disease. These self-proclaimed vampire hunters were often individuals with questionable credentials, exploiting the fears of a superstitious populace. They claimed to possess specialized knowledge and tools to identify and dispatch the undead. Their methods, however, were far from scientific and often bordered on the barbaric. One common practice was the exhumation of recently buried corpses. The hunters would examine the bodies for signs of vampirism, such as a lack of decomposition or the presence of fresh blood in the mouth. These signs were often natural processes of decay, misunderstood by both the hunters and the public. In some cases, the bodies of suspected vampires were mutilated. Hearts were removed and burned, heads were severed, and stakes were driven through chests. These gruesome acts were believed to prevent the dead from rising and spreading disease. In reality, they only served to desecrate graves and traumatize grieving families. The vampire hunters' influence extended beyond the graveyard. They advised on protective measures for the living, promoting the use of garlic, crucifixes, and other supposed vampire-repelling items. While harmless in themselves, these practices often distracted from genuine medical precautions that could have saved lives during epidemics. As the 19th century progressed and medical knowledge advanced, the role of the vampire hunter began to wane. The germ theory of disease, developed by scientists like Louis Pasteur, provided rational explanations for the spread of illnesses that had once been attributed to supernatural causes. Today, we look back on the era of Victorian vampire hunters with a mix of fascination and horror. Their actions, born from a combination of fear, ignorance, and opportunism, serve as a stark reminder of the dangers of superstition in the face of scientific uncertainty. As we continue to face new and challenging diseases in our own time, the lesson of the vampire hunters remains relevant. In times of crisis, we must be vigilant against those who would exploit our fears for their own gain.